Last section for Chapter 7, Solving Inequalities. You go about solving an inequality the same way you would solve an equation. That means you would go about solving it the same way if there were an equal sign in between the two numbers. This example here, we're dealing with multiplication. So we have to use the inverse operation of multiplication, which is division. And for that, we'll multiply by the reciprocal of 3/8, which is 8/3. When we simplify this, there's a multiplicative inverse. When we simplify this, we'll get simply a on the left-hand side of our inequality. But whatever we do to the left-hand side, we also have to do to the right-hand side. And of course, that means we need to multiply the right-hand side of our inequality by 8/3 as well. So here on the right-hand side, 8 and 8 are common factors, so we cross those out. And our solution is going to be a is less than -5/3, or if we write it as a mixed number, it's going to be -1 2/3. And that is the way we graph it. We can check to see if our answer is correct by selecting a number that is true to our inequality. So I've selected -8/3 here. That is less than -1 2/3, and it's really easy to multiply. It's simply -1. -1 is less than -5/8. That's true, so my solution is accurate. Here's another example, and we'll find out that we need to use the inverse operation of addition to solve it. But what I'm going to do first is actually use the commutative property to rewrite this inequality. It's not required to do this, but I find it to be easier to deal with the inequality when it's set up this way. Of course, there is only one step in this equation, and that is to subtract 3.3 from both sides. As you can see, our solution there, y is greater than or equal to -16.5. So we need a closed circle at -16.5. Of course, we can check our solution to see if it's correct. So I'll replace y with a solution that makes the statement true, and there's no need to select a difficult number. Here I selected 0, and of course 3.3 is going to be greater than or equal to -13.2. Let's get to our final example here. Unlike the other two, where it required only one step to solve it, this one will require 2 steps. So we go through our order of operations in reverse, and we're going to be doing the inverse operation of subtraction and multiplication. First step will require adding 1 1/2 to both sides. After that, we need to divide both sides, or multiply both sides, by the multiplicative inverse of -2, which is -1/2. Cross out the 2's, simplify on the right-hand side, and there's our solution in 2 forms. Graphing it, we want to use an open circle at the -2 1/4. And to check our solution, we'll go ahead and replace the variable with a value. -3 solves for the solution, makes it rather easy, gets rid of those fractions. And 4 1/2 is less than 3. Wait a minute, that's not right. Because if you multiply or divide by a negative number, then the inequality symbol gets flipped. So in order to make this accurate, we actually have to flip the inequality sign when we multiply by a negative.